World of Tank Blitzers and hopefully a few future Mum Reds. Hey, I'm Littlefinger doing another full tank review today on the German Tier 3 TD, the Marder II. You can see it here in the garage. Quite a fun tank to drive. I really enjoyed it, primarily because of the 75mm gun. Has amazing penetration values and damage per shot, although the reload is a little bit slower than I would like. And it does have fairly good gun depression and a very nice arc angle on the tank, so you don't have to reset that aim time every time you shift your sights a little bit. So let's take a look at the tech tree on the German side here and see where this tank's going to take us. Well, next tank up on Tier 4 is the Hetzer, obviously with some great frontal armor, very sloped, can do a lot of damage, fun tank to drive. And then you get the choice of splitting off onto the Toaster on the top, the Nashorn, or the Stir Emil. All horrible tanks to drive, very difficult, although the guns are great on them. But when you get to the RHM, one of my favorite TDs at Tier 8, and then on up to the Grill 15. So looking forward to that ride to the top there, Tier 10. And then as far as the Stug 3 and up through the J Panther line and the Jagdtiger, even into the E100 there, all amazing tanks with fairly decent mobility actually, and a very high rate of fire and good guns. Fun line to drive for sure, so you're going to want to pursue that. Let's take a quick look here at this gun. You can see here AP round 108mm of pen, APCR 154. Put that in perspective, I think the Tier 4 DW is 50mm all the way around. I think the B1 is 60. So you're not going to have trouble penetrating any of those tanks with this gun. So I am set up here with camo as I try to play this tank more on the back lines and try to stay off the radar as much as possible. Running the repair kit, multi-purpose, and tornado energy, formerly known as adrenaline. Standard fuel, chocolate bar, and protective kit. Might as well increase our abilities in these tanks as much as possible. 19 rounds of AP, 11 of APCR. You won't need that many. It's a slow firing gun, and even in the longest battle I had, which I'll show you in a minute, not even close to needing all of those. And then look at the HE, 15 to 25mm of pen does 150 to 250 damage. And of course, friendly reminder here, click the button to switch over to credits when you're buying your APCR. And as far as equipment, you can see on these games, all I ran it with right now, I didn't even spend credits or the time to get the combat power gun rammer. Probably would have gone with the gun rammer since we want to get that rate of fire up, and the penetration values are already pretty darn good. So vitality, my preference here is to go with the protection of the engine and fuel tank. So I would choose that if I were doing it. And then you can also see I went with the improved optics to increase my view range to 267. You can usually find some bushes and whatnot to hide in. So the camo net, I felt like the improved distance on the view range there was more important. And then again, I would not spend the spare parts to equip this. Number one, it takes too long. And number two, you don't get them back when you sell the tank. And this isn't a tank you're going to keep in your garage for very long. But if you do decide to go that route, I would probably, again, increase your aim time over increasing shell velocity. It's got a good gun already. Enhanced armor is not really going to do anything because your armor values are pretty darn bad. So might go with an extra 20 hit points, could save you in a battle or two. improved control over engine accelerator. I'm going to go with the one that gives us the most engine horsepower here. I think the traverse speed on this tank is already pretty good, which is what we would primarily get out of improved control, whereas engine accelerator, we're going to get additional 11 horsepower, get us up those hills and on to the go a little bit faster. Vertical stabilizer versus dispersion, I would go with the stabilizer. You can pick between enhanced tracks or toolbox. I don't really know the difference yet. Consumable delivery system, and again, this depends on what consumables you're using. Since I use only one tornado energy and don't use an engine power boost, I would go with consumable delivery system here to increase that time or decrease the time that we can reuse those kits. Let's take a quick look at how this tank compares to some of its peers. Okay, so here is from the Tank Compare website, just a screenshot of all of the Tier 4 TDs, Marder, Valentine, T82, and SU76. And you can see here I don't have any equipment selected, so this is just your base setup. DPM on the Marder is 846. When you look at those other TDs, they're all over 1,000. So you're giving up some serious hit points here. The penetrations are all about the same, 108 to 112, not much variation there. But the nice thing about this tank is that alpha, 160 average damage per shot. You look at those other tanks, are much lower at 90. Rate of fire, 5.28 is pretty slow compared to those other ones, all in the 12 range. And then on the reload, that's 11.3 seconds on your reload. So you're really going to need to make sure that you're in a protective area. You can take your shot and you can back up, wait for that reload. Aim time of 2.37 is the slowest among all of these TDs. Dispersion is 0.397, again, the worst in class. One of the nice things, though, about this tank is that 8 degrees of negative gun depression versus 5 on the Valentine and T82. And then my favorite part about this tank is that aiming arc, which means how far you can aim left or right without having to move the tank. And of course, when you move the tank, you have to reset your aim. Moving on to movement and mobility, you see top speed here of 40 kilometers per hour. It's not bad, only the T82 and the SU76 are a little bit faster. Engine horsepower of 165 gives you a power to weight ratio of 14.7, which is actually pretty good. Terrain resistance is not so good in comparison to the Valentine and the SU76, but our non-modified traverse speed is just under 40 according to Blitz in-game, which is right in line with the rest of the other tanks, so it turns quite well. Credit coefficient of only 87%. You know, you're going to lose out a little bit of credits here, and the downside is your hull armor is only 30 millimeters in the front and 15 on the side, so really got to watch out for guys shooting HE at you, as you will take on a lot of damage if you're not careful. So let's take a look at how I played this in-game. All right, so here's our first game as top tier Fort Despair. So I'm hoping that this team pushes left and I can sit back here behind this rock. I don't like going up to that other typical camping spot over there just because there's no protection whatsoever. And I notice half the team pushes around the backside of the map. So here comes their T7 carrier calling for some help. And we get around and get a nice shot in their ammo rack. So we've managed to finish him off. Obviously we're spotted at this point in time, but it seems like the rest of the team's still on the other side of the map. So I'm going to push around here, and I'm going to stay low. See where that T-82 is. He's up high. He's got no protection whatsoever. If someone comes around that corner, he's just sitting out in the open. So I like to sit right here. I can pull back behind this hill if I need to. And these B2s play this pretty well. Only peeking out just a little bit. We missed that first shot. And you see how now I back up and I'm just protected on this long reload. We're now down a tank. Things aren't looking good. But he sits out there long enough for me to get an aim in and put a nice 160 into him. And again, pull back. And I noticed this guy's rocking back and forth, so I tried to time it, and I missed that shot. So getting a little concerned now that the base is up to about 50, and I don't think I really got enough time to swing around behind me. And luckily the base is taken care of, so I don't have to worry about that now. But I'm not sure that that B2 is going to come back out, and we are down 2 tanks. Things are not looking good. When this B2 makes a critical mistake and he comes out into the open, I get a shot in, track him, and I'm pushing up to the hill just in case I need protection. And we finish him off. You see, now I've got some options to get protection should I need it. This M2, I know he's got some good gun depression. I'm not sure if he was aiming, so I kind of rushed that shot, hit it into the ground. Wasn't sure what gun he had. If he had the big derp gun, he could have almost finished me off with 1 HE shell. So I was hoping this T-82 would stick out. I see that he fires, but I still have a shot here on the M2 medium, so I'll take that. Drop the adrenaline here, just so we can get a shot in a little bit faster, and we even it up at 2 tanks apiece. The AT2 there is still sitting in that camping spot. He drops off the radar, and I try to put one in here where I think he's at. And I know that that T-82 is a one-shot, and I'm just backing down the hill here to take a look at my partner, who hasn't moved this whole game, so I'm assuming he is AFK. So you can see my strategy so far is to play as conservative as possible, save my hit points to the end, and miss that shot, which is kind of disappointing. And of course, he's a little bit faster than I am. But we're going to give chase. Primarily don't think I'm really going to catch him, but if I don't chase him, then he's got the opportunity to turn around, and we're going to be in a stalemate. So I take that shot, hoping to get lucky and miss it, and I've seen that this guy's moving, so there's no point chasing him. He should be able to finish him off about right now, but he drives off. I don't know what the heck he's doing. So I'm going to play this real cautiously. You know, I'm a one shot to that T-82. And obviously he has 2, so he's taking it extremely cautiously too. And I'm just hoping that this guy, who hasn't moved all game, can get in here and get 1 shot in. And he's trying to bait a shot out of me, because if he sees me shoot, he's going to turn forward and take me out. And finally, PZ35 comes through. Unbelievable. We've got 1 left, and I'm assuming that this guy is still sitting in the spawn area and hasn't come to help. So we're going to push off and hope that he's still here. We've only got 1 minute left. And sure enough, there he is. Rushed that first shot, but it goes in. He hits me in the tracks, which is great. Repair that, and now I'm just on a reload and patiently wait and finish him off for kill number 3. And that other guy was still on the other side of the flag. Unbelievable. So anyway, just over 1,000 damage, 3 kills, level 1. Played it cautiously until the end. Alright, next game, Mayan Ruins. And looking at the opponent's list, they've got Warchild, who is a fellow YouTuber in an A20 Tier 4 Seal Clubbing tank. So this game could get interesting for sure. So I'm going to push up around the corner here and go sit in this bush, hoping that 1 or 2 tanks comes forward. And then it's 3 or 4, and now I'm in a bad situation. So waiting for that reload, and they've got several tanks down there. All of our guys have grouped, as you can see. They're all still coming down, but they're not pushing forward. They're just letting these guys come around the corner here, which ends up being my demise. You can see Warchild is up there on the bridge, and he stops long enough for me to get a shot in, and I really should have probably just focused on him, turned around, and tried to hope that these guys couldn't push any further, but they push up. I'm getting some good shots in, but problem is I'm circled. You can see Warchild's up there. Meanwhile, I'm getting shot from the other side because I've got nobody backing these guys up. So, not much I can do at this point, and I'll save you watching the rest of the game. But we ended up with 970 points. Not bad for being the bottom tier in that game. Our platoon did not help us at all. Alright, so this game is on Desert Sands, bottom tier, and as you can see from the previous game, sometimes, you know, just trying to stay on the outside of the map is just not good enough. And you can find yourself in a bad situation, and with this tank with no armor, chances are you're not getting out of it. So we've got 4 guys pushing left here, and we've got a couple guys pushing right. So I really wasn't sure which way to go, and I thought, hey, I'm going to go down this way when the DW shows up and the Valentine. So we're going to take a shot here, get him in the tracks, and just do track damage. And you can see the pain in this long reload. We track him again. This time we take out the tracks. We still haven't done any damage. We've hit him twice. I haven't done any damage. This time we'd get 130 out of him. And he's going to back down out of view, but the Valentine there is available for us, and was hoping that he would stay front to me and I could get a nice shot into that upper plate, but that's not going to be the case, which is why I shot the HE shell. But I still get 120 out of it, which is good. We're in a little bit of trouble here, down a tank. We've got 2 on the right side of the tracks. I'm not sure what this Hetzer is doing, and they've gone into base. I've got the APCR on because I'm pretty sure I'm going to run into this DW, and just want to make sure that every shot's going to count. So patiently wait, rush that shot a little bit, I guess, but we're lucky it goes in. And we've got another shot coming up, and we just missed. They're pushing around towards that Hetzer, so I am going to switch over to HE and hopefully get a good roll on the lightly armored Electo here. And we do. We finish him off, and now we are up a tank. DW looks like he's pushing around the right, so I'm going to continue around. Get another nice roll into the Valentine, and it blocks the DW from backing up. So now we're sitting in a good situation here. We can get another shot into him, and he chunks that into the dirt. And we wait for the reload and go ahead and finish him off for kill number 3. And we didn't take a single shot. So that's what I mean by playing cautiously. Just really got to look at the mini-map, see where your opponents are, play it smart. And, you know, bottom tier did 862 damage. So we move on to Mirage as the only tier 3. Again, I'm going to want to play this super cautiously, stay back as far as I can, keep from getting spotted as long as possible. And that's going to help us dish out as much damage as possible. So we've got these rail cars here to hide behind. Obviously, they're down in that river ditch area, so they're going to be too far down for us to get any shots in. But we've got a couple guys that have been spotted that are sitting on the railroad tracks, so I'm hoping to push up and get a shot into them. I want to see if we can't get these guys pushed back a little bit. Get a nice shot into his tracks. Doesn't look like anyone else does any damage to him though. So this M5 is on the run. Get a nice shot in there, but just not enough to kill him. And he gets taken out by our DW. I think that was the DW. The next M5 Stuart. And this is the nice thing with this tank. You see how long I changed that aim arc angle? If I was in the SU-76 or something, the whole tank would be moving and that aiming circle would be big and I would have to wait for it to reload, you know, to re-aim again. So that's one of the benefits of this tank with the nice arc angle. So just playing it as cautiously as possible. There's only 2 guys left. I'm being careful here with the Electo. One good shot from him, he could probably finish me off. But we'll go ahead and take him out. Fairly easy game there. It was a good team. But I wanted to show that as an example of just staying as far back as possible, but yet being effective to shoot tanks and get some damage in. You can see there's bottom tier. We finished as the top damage. So last game I'm going to show is on Himmelsdorf. Again, bottom tier. And I want you to pay attention to my strategy of staying as far back as possible and staying on the outside of the map. That way we prevent anyone from flanking us or getting onto our sides, which are extremely weak. And you can see here I've gone down the shooting alley, so to speak, and I am able to put these shots in at 240 meters, and they haven't even spotted me, so I'm not worried about relocating. I'm just staying still, let my camo work. And our team's pushed up, and you can see they're in front of me, and I'm just using them as shields. Even this Marder comes in, and I can shoot over him if, the Hetzer comes in, and I can shoot over him if I wanted to. So we've taken out 2 tanks, and I'm not likely to get any more shots down that alley, so I'm going to push on to the right, and I am just staying on the outskirts of the map here, and obviously playing cautiously. It's kind of one of my rules of thumb here, so to speak, early in the game. Don't rush into a situation you're not sure what's going to be on the other side of some hill or some building. Got a nice shot into the M2 medium as he extends way too far out there. And I've got 3 tanks in front of me, all targets, so chances are even if they see me, they're not going to shoot my direction first. So again, just trying to conserve hit points. And we line this one up on the bottom of the Hetzer, and I have no idea where that went. Pull forward again, and he takes a nice shot at us. But I'm going to get him in the tracks here. And then as he tries to turn, we'll just go ahead and finish him off. So a good team, but kind of more wanted to point out the strategy here of this tank. It's definitely a tank you want to play on the back lines. It's got very good aiming and can do damage at distance, so it works well in that capacity. Just use your team as meat shields, so to speak, and let them take the brunt of the opponent's damage. The gun, though, is fantastic. It can penetrate just about everything. You're doing 160, 180 damage per shot, which is great. It does have a little bit longer reload, but that ability to aim left and right without resetting the aim is just fantastic. I love it. One of my favorite characteristics of the T40, the American tank TD, has a very similar arc angle there. So this was a fun tank to drive. I'm sorry I missed this one, so I had to go back and pick it up. But anyway, I hope you guys learned something from the video, and you can use this in your gameplay. So stay safe out there, have fun. Remember, this is just a game. So make sure you get educated, or else you might get fingered. Littlefinger, out.